So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about myself. As Matt mentioned, I'm at UCT. I'm also affiliated to Wits University. I'm a scientist. I'm also a recreational runner. I feel a whole lot better than I usually look. But I just want to clarify something from the outset. I'm not a sporty chick here to advertise sports for children. If you could have taken a poll as to who would work for the Sports Science Institute at school, I would feature very much at the bottom of the list. I had very bad asthma as a child, and I couldn't even run around the athletics track without having an asthma attack. But somehow, by some chance, I landed up signing up for the rowing club in my first week of university, got addicted to an active lifestyle, and felt the benefits of that, and have never looked back since. What I'm passionate about, both personally and professionally, is social justice and early childhood development. Where it all started was a community-based project many years ago in rural Limpopo, and I got my first exposure to a preschool in a disadvantaged area, and then also worked after that on a project in Alexandra Township in Johannesburg. And I had this light bulb moment one morning. I was testing children. We were looking at school readiness and how this was affected by a movement program for preschool children. And it was 9 o'clock in the morning. We were at a preschool that was in a house, and next door was a shebeen, and things were firing up at 9 o'clock in the morning. And I thought, something's wrong with this picture, and something needs to be done. And what we actually found in this study was that not a terribly well-organized program that got preschool children to come to a community center, play with some balls and hula hoops once a week, actually improved their school readiness. And this just got me really interested in something beyond physical health that physical activity could actually impact, and how important early childhood was in a phase of children's lives. And this is something that I really wanted to put my energy into. But before I talk about physical activity, I want to ask you a question, and that's, what do parents most want for their child? And some of you might be parents or grandparents or aunts or uncles, and I think when you ask parents this, most of them say, well, they'd like their child to succeed, they'd like them to do well at school, have lots of friends, and I think a lot of that could be summed up into saying they would like their child to reach their full potential. So I'd just like you to hold that thought in mind as I go through a few other slides. And being a scientist, I'm going to present some science. So when we talk about physical activity, we usually talk about different intensities, from light to walking, moderate, a bit more of a brisk walk, to vigorous. And what's recommended for children of about a preschool age is that they do 3 hours of any activity a day. A school-going child should be doing at least an hour a day of moderate to vigorous physical activity that gets them to sweat and breathe hard. And this could be walking, it could be dancing, an organized activity, sport, or active play. And what's really important is the research shows that children who are active when they are younger stay active through childhood, into adolescence, and into adulthood. So why physical activity is important, and many of you might know the physical health benefits, and many of these that apply to adults also apply to children. In children and adolescents, physical activity also improves their mental health and has psychological benefits, things like reducing depression, anxiety, stress, and improving self-esteem. What's also important is that it improves cognitive development, particularly in early childhood. And something that we're interested in is something called executive function, and this is particularly crucial in the preschool years. And these are the mental processes that you need to when you really need to pay attention and concentrate, kind of like what you're doing at the moment. And why this is important is because it contributes to something called self-regulation in children, which we would call self-control in adults. And executive function has been shown from early life to predict later into adulthood really important things like lifelong achievement, health, wealth, quality of life. It's one of the best predictors of school readiness and academic achievement as well. What's also important for older children is that physical activity has been shown to positively impact on academic achievement overall, and then on specific subjects like maths, languages, and sciences. So what I'm really interested in and my research focuses on is how can we use physical activity to actually promote cognitive development and early learning. But what's really relevant in South Africa is how can we actually use this to build a nation. And this is where the faith element comes in and takes me back to my original experiences, that how could we, through this, actually help to put children through activity on better educational and health trajectories that actually help them to have a better future later in life. But it's great to talk about physical activity, but there are other behaviors that actually potentially hijack the benefits that I've just spoken about. And just for the purposes of time, I'm going to focus on two of them. The first is sedentary behavior, and this is not the same as not being active enough. It's an independent behavior that mostly refers to screen time. And children can be highly active and highly sedentary, meaning they're spending more than 2 hours a day in recreational screen time. So it's great if they're doing their hour of physical activity per day. What are they doing for the other 23 hours? And if they're spending that in front of the TV, it's not really going to help them. And similar to physical activity, it's really important what's happening early on, because that helps, has been shown to actually track through childhood, adolescence, and into adulthood as well. And what's quite sobering are the many dangers of high screen time. So this would be more than 2 hours a day. And it's things like poor cognitive and academic performance, unhealthy eating, and a range of physical consequences as well as some psychological and social issues, things like lower self-esteem, anxiety, depression, problems with behavior, attention, etc. Another health behavior that I'd like to bring your attention to is sleep. And you can see there that the recommendations for children are somewhere between 8 and 13 hours a night, depending on how old they are. And this has also been shown, longer sleep has been shown to have positive health benefits as well as improving things like emotional regulation, academic achievement, and quality of life. But unfortunately, similar to high screen time, lack of sleep also has negative psychological benefits. So for example, in adolescence, it's been shown to be, limited sleep time has been shown to be associated with things like depression, anxiety, pain, and many of the other similar things that we saw with high screen time. And what's really important is that high screen time and lack of sleep go together. Sleep and screens are not friends. So just to bring it together, I think it helps to think of children as a system into which there are things going in and things coming out. And some of the behaviors that I've been talking about, physical activity, screen time, and obviously diet is a huge, big topic as well, is that when those kind of things are going in the red blocks, the things coming out are those kind of positive things. That if we go back to what we're saying, what do parents want for their child to reach their potential? But the blocks at the bottom are the things that help those children meet their potential. And physical activity and these other healthy behaviors have a really important role to play in that. Unfortunately, when the wrong things are going in, not enough activity, too much screen time, etc., then those are the kind of things that you can potentially see. And I think we could all agree that parents, that's not what they would like for their children. So the take-home messages for parents really is that establishing and maintaining healthy behaviors really means investing in your child's future. And a healthy, active child is one who's better equipped to reach their full potential in both the eyes of their parents and in the eyes of God. And I strongly believe, and what motivates me in my work is that surely God wants to see children reach their full potential as well. And what can we do that can help them actually put the right things in place that help them to get there? So just in closing, if you're a parent or a grandparent or you look after small children, you think, what am I supposed to do? Just have a few key things for you. So the first thing is start early, whether it's screen time, whether it's a healthy diet, whether it's physical activity. The earlier you start, the better. Send them outside. Research consistently shows that children who spend more time outside are more physically active. Be a positive role model. Display those behaviors that you'd like to see in your child. Think about what is your physical activity like? How do you manage your screen time? What's your diet? What are the children seeing as their example? Where possible, resist the lure of the screen. And the research also shows that family rules, things like no screens at the table, those kind of things are really shown to actually be effective, and they're shown to be effective in younger children, which again just reinforces the message of starting early. And I know sometimes desperate times call for desperate measures, but be careful of routinely undermining the health and the well-being for your child by choosing convenience on a regular basis. Also, set smart goals. All of these behaviors are quite complex. Trying to change all of them in one go is probably not going to work. So start with small steps, and small steps can make a really big difference. And if children are doing well, reinforce those good behaviors. And really the wrap-up is that parents really have the opportunity to positively influence the health of their child, help them reach their potential, and help them have a bright future. Thank you very much.